This Fan Run podcast is brought to you by DraftKings.
DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of March Madness. Bet $4 on any underdog and win $256 if they win. It's that simple. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code FANRUN in all caps when you sign up to turn $4 into $256 for a limited time and only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older in Tennessee only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
You're listening to East Tennessee's premier sports radio call-in show. This is The Drive.
We're working like heck.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome. Another stellar edition of The Drive underway here on Fan Run Radio. Russell Smith punching the time clock, 3:02 on your Thursdays. We take to the airwaves. Oh, it looks like the rain's letting up a little bit out here in Sevierville. We are at the Axe House on Winfield Dunn Parkway. You can come out and join us, 1436 Winfield Dunn Parkway, right across from Gorilla Fireworks in Sevierville. Oh, man, we've had a blast out here so far. If you hear any very loud noises next to me, that would be Talk Sports and the Blitz. They're going at it right now, Bear. We have an axe throwing contest, and I don't know who's going to win. I just consider it a minor victory if all of those guys get back to town with all their hands and fingers intact.
I'm gonna have to go out on a limb here. I'm back. Former member of the Drive, Brandon Orick. I feel like he's got the makings of a varsity athlete, unlike you, Russ. And I think that Brandon will acquit himself quite well.
I will tell you, it is surprisingly more difficult than I thought it would be.
I was waiting for you guys to say that. I've had a little bit of, I've done it a few times. And it's a pretty good workout, isn't it, on the old arms?
I mean, no, I wouldn't say that. It was just, it's
you've got those skinny, like, spindly little things you call arms. So.
I mean, it wasn't a problem for me. I know that might be more difficult for somebody in your physical condition or lack thereof. But for me, that wasn't the issue. The issue was just the skill of getting the axe to actually stick in the wood. And so far, out of the six of us, the only person I've seen who's been able to do that is Brandon Orick. Took some time, but he was able to get it. Mine just sort of ricocheted off. I don't know. There's a lot of technique. There's a lot of technique to it, but it is a very great and cool facility they have out here, the Axe House in Sevierville. And we've been watching the United States national team trying to finish off the Reggae boys, Bear. It's about 10 minutes left in a friendly, the USA 2, Jamaica 1.
I was getting ready to say the Reggae boys, would that be the Jamaican national team, Russell?
It would be, yes.
We're starting off completely politically incorrect in the A block today. Okay.
Oh, that's their nickname, the Reggae boys. Why is that?
Is it really?
Correct? Yes, that's what they're called. Act offended over that. What are you doing?
Woke.
Yeah, a little too woke, if you ask me. But we are, so we've been watching that. There's been some basketball. Apparently, it's a big day in the NBA. They've got the trade deadline, so that's a big topic of conversation on ESPN too. So we've been watching that, and this is a great place to come out and watch ball games, and it's family friendly too. I saw some young folks out here earlier taking it all in and throwing axes as well. Folks of all ages out here. So great facility. And let me say this, man, the food is fantastic. The Mountain Man Pizza lived up to the billing.
Did it?
Oh,
what kind of crust? We got to break it down here.
I mean, it's I guess wood fired. Like it was delicious crust. The pieces were huge. I could only get two gigantic slices. That's all I've had today. And
I wonder how Roger could take down one.
Roger might be able to take it down No doubt about it. Brisket, barbecue sauce, pepperoni, bacon, and hamburger. Oh, phenomenal. And then
my mouth is watering.
The appetizers were delicious as well. I'm going to tell you about those as we move along here this afternoon. But
just to put a bug in your ear real quick.
Yeah.
You could maybe pick one of those up to go and drop it off to your buddy who's quarantined right now. I'm just saying.
We'll take it under advisement. We'll see if you can behave yourself today. Okay, how's that? I won't treat you the way I treat my 6-year-old. Like, if you're good today, Bear, you'll get a treat. If any more cracks, unwarranted attacks about spindly arms or whatever that was earlier today, I don't know. Maybe you'll get nothing and like it.
Deal.
All right. It's a deal. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to get to this afternoon. Huge show today. Christopher Gabriel returns to the drive. Hurricane Christopher. Fitting that we have Chris on a day when I might be driving home through a hurricane, according to the latest weather projections.
It does not look good.
No, it does not look good. And actually, they have some footage already of a tornado on there and a bad one on the ground in Birmingham. So I'm afraid we might have some bad news. Batten down the hatches. I know we got a lot of listeners down in Alabama and in the mid-state. So please be careful out there if you are listening to the show online this afternoon in those places affected by this weather. But yeah, I mean, it's been a steady rain pretty much all day out here. It looks like it's clearing up a little bit. And if you are in Sevierville, we would love to see you this afternoon. If you're out and about, stop by. We're at the Axe House again, 1436 Winfield Dunn Parkway, right across from Guerrilla Fireworks. We'll be here till 6, hanging out, and might hang out afterwards and have a cold beverage. I don't know. If there's a full-on tornado warning, I might just spend the night here, if that's okay with them. I don't know. Can I just curl up in the side? Okay, I think I've got permission.
I've got this mental image of you with a barbecue sauce smeared cheeks with pieces of brisket encrusted in your beard, snoring while cradling an axe up there.
This is how long it's been since we've hung out. The beard has been gone for over a week now, Bear. So I'll be good in that regard. But I mean, yeah,
you'll still be completely smeared with barbecue sauce, but.
I think Mrs. Dubs would understand if I told her, look, I can't come home tonight. There's tornadoes. You wouldn't want me to risk life and limb driving home. I'm just going to spend the night here at the Axe House. They've got TV. They've got good food. They've got cold beer and plenty of activities to do with the axe throwing and whatnot. So I'm just going to hang out. You'll see me again when you see me. It's safety first. That's what I always say, Bear. Safety first.
I mean, it's on the drive, we pride ourselves on being safe, having safe, good, clean fun, Russ.
I've dealt with tornadoes before. It's no fun.
Oh yeah. I have not, knock on wood. Don't want to change that today. Christopher,
I have been close enough to hear one.
In just a few moments. And then later in hour number 3, Andre Whitehead, tnprephoops.com. We'll join the festivities. We'll talk some University of Tennessee basketball recruiting with him coming up. So we are jam-packed and loaded for Bear this afternoon here on The Drive. As always, you want to jump in, 865-546-8200 is your number to get on the G3 Help Me hotline. Alex and New Trey are in the White Claw Hard Seltzer studios. They will greet you as you call in today, 865-546-8200, your number to get on the show this afternoon. We began today, Bear, with we're going to salute a couple of legends of sport who have thrown in the towel today and retired. 2 pretty big names.
Really? Go kick us. I've been out of the loop today. I had a bunch of appointments this morning, so I'm hit me. Who's retired?
Oklahoma coach Lon Kruger.
Wow.
Retiring at 68. Went to 2 Final Fours with 2 schools. Took 5 different schools to the NCAA tournament and went to the Final Four with Florida in 1994 and Oklahoma in 2016. Was that the Buddy Hield team, right? A couple of years ago. So, and I thought always did just a really good job, man. The guy was just a fine basketball coach, and he is retiring today, 68 years old. What is he? About 2 years older than Rick Barnes and Richard Dale Barnes. Interesting.
Well, congratulations, Coach. Enjoy your retirement, and what a great career he had. So, I kind of feel like he's above Barnes. Wouldn't you?
I feel like they probably had very similar careers, right? I mean, he had his second Final Four 22 years after his first at a different school. So Rick Barnes,
if Barnes could have easily matched that a couple of years ago, and
he can still match it. I mean, he went to the Final Four in 2002. 22 years would be in 2024. So he's got 2 years. I think it's a pretty good comparison, Barnes and Lon Kruger.
Yeah, Barnes, that missed opportunity the year that Loyola took us out. We would have duck walked to the Final Four that year. What a missed opportunity.
Would we have? Because the people will tell me Rick Barnes can't coach and Tennessee needs to move on. And
yeah, that was that year our whole bracket opened up.
Yeah, but we said that when we played Loyola and they beat us. So who's to say we would have beaten whoever we would have played in the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight? You still had to win 2 more games to get there.
Yeah, well, I think we would have. Anyhow, I digress. Lon Kruger retired.
And
enjoy it, my friend.
Man who's 10 years his senior, Dick Stockton, has announced he is retiring from the broadcasting game. 78-year-old Dick Stockton ending a legendary 55-year career. And, Bear, I don't think I've ever really mentioned this on the air. One of my all-time favorites, man, in broadcasting.
Really?
Love Dick Stockton. Oh, yes.
Dick Stockton. I'm trying.
You don't even know who I'm talking about, do you?
Yeah. Actually, I do. I'm trying to put a face with the name.
Oh, yeah, a very distinct face. My main memories, and he's one of those guys. He's still been doing NFL games here lately, and people have had some fun with him because he's not as sharp as he used to be the past couple of years. But man, when he was on, he was one of my first guys that I grew up really listening to and emulating and wanting to be like. When Dick Stockton was doing a Lakers game at the Forum in the 1980s, and he did a lot of NBA games for CBS back when in the NBA's heyday, when it was at its height. And I mean, he was phenomenal. First of all, just a great voice, and then he was very much of the Pat Summerall school, where just the facts, please, stay out of the way, let the crowd tell the story. And when he was doing some of those games, and he did Super Bowls and World Series and everything else, but he was a master.
Oh, he was an Olympic announcer, which is how I feel about the Olympics. Man, he did it all, didn't he? Started off with the Celtics. I didn't realize that. He was a Celtics TV play-by-play guy back in '74. So, well, hats off to you. Enjoy your retirement.
And Bear, while we've been on the air, you'll be glad to know the United States has added on 2 more goals. They now lead 4-1 over Jamaica as they play in extra time, and it looks like the United States will win this friendly. They're playing in Austria for summer.
That's outstanding. What's the temperature in Austria right now?
I don't know. It doesn't look particularly inviting.
How bad would that suck for a bunch of American and Jamaican guys? It's Jamaica's Jamaica, and I mean, hell, we're in the spring here in the U.S. to have to go to Austria to play a friendly.
It looks like it's in the low 50s right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of the better players. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think a lot of the better players are used to play. They're not playing their home games in America or Jamaica. A lot of them are playing in Europe and probably used to those types of conditions. But good outing today for the young Americans. All right, Bear, are you ready for some spring football?
Absolutely. Hit me.
That wasn't exactly just bursting with enthusiasm.
Yeah, I mean, to tell you the truth, there's still the whatever from yesterday is still kind of weighing on me a little bit.
You're still worried about the catapult systems, the catapult GPS system.
Yeah, the fact that they've got our boys in glorified sports for us, man. Yeah, it's still an issue with me. I'm that immature. Yes.
Well, hopefully we'll see some pictures. You know, I heard that they were actually going to let the media attend some of these spring practices, and hopefully that's still the case. But they'll only because of COVID restrictions, they can only go to the outdoor practices. Well, obviously today is a day that they're going to be inside, so I don't think we're going to get to hear or see any firsthand reports. Trey Wallace must just be beside himself with grief right now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Trey. Old Trey.
Yeah, old real Trey. He ain't a fake Trey. Real Trey.
Wow.
I can only imagine he's got to be just a whirlwind of emotions right now.
Yeah. Thought after an entire season of not being able to go to any practice, he thought that he was going to be in seventh heaven, just getting to see all the stretching, all the routes on air, all the Oklahoma drill, all the things that they're going to do over there, and then to have it taken away from him due to an act of God, the weather, has got to be tremendously disappointing. Shout out to Trey. We
pray for Trey.
Hashtag pray for Trey.
Trey. Yeah, absolutely. That's wild to me that those guys get it. Trey, it always just kind of baffled me. He gets so excited about it, because there is nothing on the planet that's more mind-numbingly just boring than watching spring football practice to me.
Well, I keep saying, like, we need to get rid of the spring game, right? The orange and white game. They need to either do what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, where it's just Kentucky, I think Florida State, several other schools they've already said we're not doing a spring game this year. We're just going to have our 15 practices. They should do that and have some sort of behind-the-scenes docu-series, a Hard Knock style type thing that they put online so that fans can watch that. I think that would be more enlightening than going to a spring game anyway. Or what I've been saying for years, and many coaches have said as well, just let's play an actual game. Let's have an exhibition game, just like we had the soccer game. It doesn't count for anything. It's a friendly, but it's a chance to work young players, introduce your players to a system, have Tennessee play against NC State, you play against Chattanooga, against Carson Newman, against just have an exhibition game, and you can rest your key players, but give the fans something to see and have a little something behind it too. Have it mean something. At least you're playing somebody else. That's what I really want, Bear.
Make it one of those FCS games where we basically fund their whole season when they come to play us. Make that game when we play them, and then add an extra conference game in the season.
I don't understand why they can't do a deal with an FCS school and either, figure out some kind of, one team to where, we could bring an FCS team, and obviously this is all dependent on, the 600-pound gorilla in the room, COVID, but in a non-COVID time, it'd be kind of cool to bring up like an FCS school for, say, a week, and run practice, or even like 3 days. They do that in the NFL a lot. A team will come into town and they'll practice together for a couple of days. And I think sometimes in the past they'd have exhibition games, but
I don't know, Coach, but I feel like that would be a much more valuable learning and teaching experience for your team as well. But we could circle back to that and unpack that a little bit more here later on in the show. We're going to take a quick time out. It is The Drive live this afternoon, the Axe House, 1436 Winfield Dunn Parkway in Sevierville. We're across from Guerrilla Fireworks. We're here till 6 p.m. If you want to stop by and say hello, that would be fantastic. We'll tell you more about some of the fine activities they have going on here as we roll on through the show here this afternoon. Christopher Gabriel, 940 ESPN Fresno, coming up next right here on Fan Run Radio. Stay with us.
The Drive.
Hey.
Back here on the Drive Fan Run Radio, coming to you live this afternoon from the Axe House in Sevierville, where we have a heated, and I mean heated, game of axe throwing going on right now between the crew of Talk Sports and the Blitz. And I believe it is tied at 14. Are we tied? The Blitz has taken the lead. We'll keep you up to date on this developing situation. We give you the live play-by-play. John Reed steps to the no-pressure read. For the looks of his reaction, that did not go well. Let's bring in Christopher Gabriel, 940 ESPN Fresno. CG, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing great. A couple of things right off the bat. First of all, you're doing some axe throwing. You know, I think about those bars out here that have that, and it's one of those things where if you're having a problem with the lady in your life, you don't take her there. You don't go there. It's probably not a good idea. Doesn't sound like that's what's going on in your competition. The other thing is I dug that bumper music that you brought me in with. I mean, this sounds like it might as well be you coming back on the air going, hey, it's Russell. It's the Drive Overnight Jazz here in the Bay Area. You got something you want to hear? I'll spin it for you. I mean, that's what that sounded like. I like that.
What? I did not detect the bumper music. What was that, Alex, that we played coming back?
That
Smooth
was
sounds of the 70s.
That was Mind is Playing Tricks on Me.
That was the Ghetto Boys.
Yeah.
It was a little smoky back room, last call, lights dimming. That was nice. I like that.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Christopher Gabriel, how are you, my man?
Man, I'm doing great. Just like you guys, just finding our way through the week and priming ourselves, getting ready for Sweet 16, Elite 8, and then we find our way to the Final Four. I'm still trying to come to terms with the brilliant performance from the Tennessee Volunteers against Oregon State. One of your colleagues there, Houston Kress. Am I saying Houston's name right, or does he pronounce it like they pronounce it in New York City for the street that divides Greenwich Village and Soho? They pronounce it Houston, so you could call him Houston Kress if you so desire.
Yeah, we call him Houston. Kind of
Houston. He told me to call him.
French flair at the end there.
He told me to call him Lord Kress. So I guess I'll have to do that. But he had asked me, and you and I talked. I was thrilled that you invited me on Volunteer Reaction. He had asked me before the game what kind of scouting report I would have on Oregon State because I'd seen him play a number of times out here. And what I told him was the same thing I'll tell you now, and it's really in many ways what the Vols failed at. I said that the Vols desperately needed to match the urgency and the sense of purpose that Oregon State was going to bring to this game. It's a guard-led team, and if the backcourt for Tennessee wasn't ready, they would lose. It was a winnable game on paper. Unfortunately, the Vols fell victim to be the 1-5-12 upset that we had this year. We have one every year, and really, I'm not breaking news for you and your great audience, and hello to everybody in East Tennessee. There was no urgency on this Tennessee team. There was no sense of purpose. And when you play in the NCAA tournament and you shoot 33%, 19% from three, you're not going to beat High Point Community College, Russell.
VOLS, vanishing offense, lousy shooting. That's what it should stand for. Christopher, It was unbelievable. And listen, I can live with that. I really can. If we just have an off night or something like that, it happens. I get it. What I can't abide by, and I think what had fans so alarmed is, Christopher, where's the hunger? Where's the passion? Where's the sense of urgency, the win or go home mentality that Oregon State clearly had and that Tennessee did not?
Well, your point is absolutely spot on because, we can all live with that off night. But that urgency also didn't show up on the boards. They got out-rebounded by 7. And if you're not hitting, if you're clearly off, and this team was from the get-go, then, damn it, start sending guys to the boards. And I'm watching play because I ended up watching because I'm a glutton for punishment. I taped the game and I ended up watching it over one more time to just see what I was missing. And time after time, Russell, Vols were heading up court. I mean, they were playing as if the lineup was 5 Steph Currys. You've got to hit the boards, and they weren't doing that. They were getting beaten every which way by this team, But yes, to go full circle to your point, there was no hunger. It looked like they wanted to go home. They wanted to get in the buses, go to the airport, and get back to Tyson. They wanted to get out of there. Oregon State came in with an attitude of, you know what? People disrespected us this year. We were picked last in the Pac-12. We are here on a mission. We have the right shade of orange. We're going to win this thing. I mean, Oregon State came out hungry from the get-go, and the Vols didn't match it. I got to tell you, it reminded me a little bit. You know, those Admiral Schofield, Grant Williams teams. They were great, but it reminded me a little bit of 2019 when the Vols started off with Colgate. Right, Colgate's a 15 seed. The Vols beat them, but the Vols struggled. They struggled. Then they play Iowa. They struggled against the Hawkeyes, but they beat them. And finally it caught up with them against Purdue, and they lose by 5. Why do I bring that up? Because there is a through line with this basketball program. And I'm not a coach baiter, you know, and not somebody who's looking for coaches to get fired, but the through line of this program, as I see it, please correct me if you think I'm wrong, is Rick Barnes goes out and gets good players. They play great defense, you know, suffocating defense. They have a very disciplined pattern offense, but there seems to be more times than not an inability to find the killer instinct and to put their foot or feet on the throats of their opponent. When Alabama came into Thompson Bowling earlier this year, the Vols were playing outstanding, and then it started to slip away a little bit more, and we ended up learning that the Crimson Tide was a much better team than any of us had imagined, but the Vols had a chance to basically crush them and break their backs, and they didn't do it. And it's something, Russell, that I have seen in Rick Barnes, not only at Tennessee, but at Texas before that.
Christopher Gabriel with us this afternoon on the drive. And yeah, I don't think anybody would argue that, Christopher. And Tennessee does lack a certain killer instinct that you see from some of these teams that are still going right now. And I guess the question that a lot of Tennessee fans have, myself included, and would love to get your take on this, Chris, what is the ceiling with Rick Barnes? It doesn't appear that he's ready to hang it up anytime soon. It looks like a coach that's got at least 4 or 5 good seasons left of coaching, if not more. And I think we all agree, like you said, the kids are going to show up. They're going to play hard. They're going to be well coached, well disciplined. But when it gets to a one-game winner-take-all, loser-go-home type situation, the results haven't been there for Rick Barnes so far at Tennessee, and they weren't there for the past 10 years or so of his career at Texas. Can he take another step, or is this just sort of is what it is with Rick Barnes at Tennessee?
I think you answered the question. I think that is the ceiling. Listen, Rick Barnes is a very decent human being. There's no question about that. And he's a good coach. I don't think he's a great coach. That's not a knock on him. There's a lot of coaches out there in both men's and women's basketball at the collegiate level that are good coaches. I don't think he's a great coach. I've never thought he was a great coach. He does so many things well, but in many ways it reminds me of the Weeklies with softball. If they weren't going to close the door on the Monica Abbott teams, if they weren't able to get get a national championship in Knoxville, I just don't think I didn't think it was going to happen then after that, and it hasn't happened. And I think with Rick Barnes, I think a lot of times we are looking at a coach and we're saying, you know what, it's just going to take this player or it's going to take that player. It's going to take one more good recruiting class. And yet we have seen this pattern with Rick Barnes going back to his days in Austin, Texas. And Russell, again, I'm not saying the man can't coach. Far be it for me to say that, but I do think we've seen the ceiling. I really believe if he couldn't get this team, and listen, Colgate, I'll go back to that year. Colgate came to win, they didn't. Iowa came to win, they didn't. Purdue came. Of course, there was a terrible call in that Purdue game, the foul in front of the bench. But nevertheless, if they weren't going to get to the promised land then, I don't know when it's going to happen. I have a hard time believing that it's going to happen. You know, here out in California, you go down the road 245 miles, and they have been wondering since the last UCLA championship in Westwood, they've been finding excuses, reasons, and so on, all kinds of rhetoric, when is this going to be the year for the Bruins? This is going to be the year. This coach is coming in. Oh, no, not Cronin's here. He's going to make it happen. And it doesn't happen. And I think the results you end up getting, you get good results with good coaches. You get great results with great coaches. I'll tell you what, my friend, I really feel like the SEC better be looking at what's going on in Fayetteville and in Tuscaloosa, because, and I said this on another radio show down in the Southeast that called me, that had me come on their program and asked me about Eric Musselman. And I said, Eric Musselman is going to come down there and he is going to turn Arkansas around. We saw enough of him here in Fresno when he was coaching Nevada. Guys love to play for him. They love his style of a controlled chaos on offense, suffocating defense, but not a defense that wears you out. He knows how to recruit. He's going to go to the transfer portal. Nate Oates, tell me if you're a high school kid, you don't want to go and play that style of basketball at Alabama. Listen, I'm a Vols fan, man. I'm no fan of Arkansas or Alabama, but if I'm a talented 4- or 5-star player and I've got a choice of playing in an offense that basically runs 22, 23 seconds off the shot clock, or I get to go up and down the floor and largely create in transition or from three, that's where I'm going. So I think the style of Rick Barnes going forward is something that is potentially going to hold this program to a level, Russell, that Sweet 16, maybe they squeeze an Elite 8 somewhere, but I just don't think that they're going to get to the promised land with Coach Barnes.
Talking with Christopher Gabriel, 940 ESPN Fresno. And Christopher, I think we all share some of those concerns. I know I do about style of play with Rick Barnes, but if there's anything that gives me hope, because it doesn't sound like he's changing. You listen to some of his comments after the game. He says, well, we just need a big man so we can do what we can do. To me, to play the way we play, I believe was the quote. To me, that doesn't sound like a man who is interested in dramatically changing his offensive philosophy. But one thing that gives me hope, Chris, is I watch Loyola Chicago. And to me, first of all, how fun is it to watch? Second of all, how effective is it? And they don't strike me as a super analytics-based team. They're not taking a lot of corner threes. There's a lot of mid-range jumpers playing through the post with Krutwig. I got to feel like if Tennessee can find another big man of that Grant Williams, that Krutwig ilk, that maybe the offense would function a lot better. So to me, there are several teams that play the way I think Barnes would like to play, that are still playing, that have to give you a little bit of a hope if you're not just going to fully embrace the new school Nate Oates, Eric Musselman style of basketball. Well,
it's interesting you bring up Porter Moser, because I think there's a couple of things at play here. And I agree with what you're saying. But in Porter Moser's case, and this is a school that, I'm not necessarily a fan of, but I grew up a mile from Loyola. So I've watched all the different versions of Loyola over the years. The thing about Coach Moser's team is top to bottom, every guy on that team that you see on the court and every guy sitting on the bench in maroon and gold, they have all bought into that style. It reminds me a little bit of Princeton, only with much better players. The Princeton days back in the day when they were running the weave and running the back door. Porter Moser has them doing more things than that, but everybody is bought into that. The question is that the style with a big man? If a big man arrives, a talented big man arrives in Knoxville, is that the kind of style that Rick Barnes wants to turn the program into? Because if he does, I would argue, and there's an argument to be had here, Russell, I would argue that the kinds of guys that he has gotten with Springer and Johnson, they're not going to come there. I don't believe guys that are that athletic and that creative, Picassos in the open court, are going to want to play in that kind of a style. The lineup that Porter Moser has, especially with a guy like Krutwig, he looks like he should be on a Bobcat at a construction company, and yet he goes out there and just beats down everybody. The guy is supremely talented, but that team, top to bottom, is made for that style. We saw it a couple of years ago when they played the Vols and when they beat Nevada and when they got to Michigan in the Final Four. So I don't know. if they're going to look for a big man, if Rick Barnes is going to look for a big man that he runs the offense through, then Russell, I guess my question to you would be, is he looking to turn the offense into something that's a little bit slower? They go into transition only when they've absolutely got the numbers. If they have a 3-on-1 or a 4-on-1, but if it's a 3-and-2, they're probably going to kick it out and get into a half-court set. That would be the question that I have.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions. I mean, I think that's the frustrating thing. There's so much hope and optimism heading into the season, and we leave with so many unanswerable questions heading into the offseason. Christopher, we got to run here. Last thing, I do want to get your take. We've got a minute or two left for you. Lady Vols flame out. I don't think anybody felt like this was the year that Kelly Harper is taking the Lady Vols back to the Final Four, winning a national championship, but they should have won that game the other night as they missed, I want to say something like 15 layups in that game, that a highly winnable game against Michigan, and the Lady Vols just, I don't want to call it a choke job, Chris, but it was ugly.
It was terrible. I watched that whole game in my studio, and it was horrible. All I'll say is this, and I've seen the Lady Vols a number of times, and I wish Kelly the best. I think back in this program, back in the Pat Summitt days, my first big interview in this business was with Coach Summitt. I always loved her teams, but in the last year or two of Coach Summitt, and then with the Holly Warlick years, and the times that I've seen the Lady Vols under Kelly, this team seems to struggle a great deal from the field. And if they're looking to emulate their program or elevate their program in a way that gets them back to the national level, I hate to say it, man, but they better look at UConn, because UConn shoots 52% from the field, 35% from three. The Lady Vols this year shot 44% and 30% from three. Looking at an entire season, I don't know how many layups, balls under the rim, hitting the bottom of the rim, just terrible. They should have beaten Michigan. So I think moving forward, I hope that Kelly Harper is going to be going and finding talented young basketball players that are going to be able to shoot the basketball on a consistent basis, because if they want to play if they get back to the level of UConn, Baylor, Stanford, and so on, they've got to find shooters that are consistent versus what we saw. And for heaven's sakes, man, players that can make a layup.
Put that ball in the hoop. It is the name of the game. Hey, Christopher, we always appreciate your time, my man. What's coming up on the CG program tonight?
We are going to be talking more of this. We're going to be talking March Madness. We'll be talking about how this weekend shapes up. We're also going to talk about the NBA trading deadline. There was a lot of talk out here on the West Coast that the Lakers were going to make a move for Kyle Lowry. That did not happen. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about some of the Fresno State sports. Fresno State softball doing outstanding. All of that coming up, and a little bit of mayhem as well with one of our sister stations, one of the new rock stations in our building. A couple of the morning show hosts are going to come in, and it's always a little bit of chaos when they come over.
Those music guys, they don't know what real radio is. What do they talk for 30 seconds at a time in between songs? They don't know how to put together an hour like we do, Chris.
No, they're clue. They do 7 minutes an hour, and they're like, oh, I need a break, man. I need a break.
Amateurs.
Yes.
All right, Christopher,
yes.
Always appreciate it, man. Thanks for jumping on.
Appreciate it, man. Anytime.
Yeah, Christopher Gabriel at CG Program on Twitter. We got to take a timeout. Christopher appears as all fan-run guests do via the G3 Help Me hotline. If your loved one is injured in an accident, call the Knoxville-based law offices of G. Turner Howard III at 865-558-8030. We're going online to g3helpme.com. The law offices of G. Turner Howard. It's your brother who owns and operates
we're
it.
locally owned and operated. So we're pretty proud of that, we're a local business and we like to support local.
Well, I told you, like when people walk in here, I think they're blown away. First of all, it's all new.
Yes.
And it just, everything, it's got a sheen to it. It's very, very well put together.
Yes.
And I think, go ahead.
Well, we're proud of that. We love the look and the aesthetic, and we think that lends to the overall experience.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'd never been to an axe throwing place, and I was telling Bear, it's a lot harder. it's it's not as hard to actually throw it, but to get the axe to actually stick in there, very difficult.
It takes a couple of times.
Yeah.
And that's why we have our coaches, kind of coaching you on technique. And, our saying is we teach you to throw like a pro. So we hope that before you leave here today that you are, throwing the axe and it's actually sticking.
Yeah, made a lot of progress just in the 10 minutes or so that we actually threw earlier. The other thing that strikes me is this is kind of it's a cool place to come out with friends after work for drinks, and you got the axe throwing, and it's a lot of fun. But it's also, this is a place where you see folks of all ages. You can bring your family here. You can bring kids here. I saw a much older lady out there throw it. She was probably better than our crew from Fan Run out there. So a lot of people having a lot of fun out here.
Yes, we pride ourselves on being family friendly. Of course, we're the first axe house in the Smokies to incorporate food, drinks, entertainment. It's kind of an all-inclusive experience. And, we have a full menu, we have a full bar, and just like you said, all ages. Kids love to come in here. I know my son is 9 years old, and he wanted an axe for Christmas.
Oh, yeah?
And so, he really enjoys it. So if they are old enough and they're able to throw an axe, then, they're welcome.
They can come get started out here. And you said it's one of the first place in Sevierville to incorporate the whole thing, food, drinks, axe throwing, all under one roof. And the food here, y'all hooked it up pretty good. You fed us with the pizza and the appetizers. It's all fantastic here at the Axe House.
Thank you. It's great to hear that. We love the feedback on our food. That's something we pride ourselves on, too, is that we do have a fantastic menu. So you're not just coming here for the axe throwing. We have a lot of takeout orders, too, and that's something that you see in a restaurant that has good food, right? Mm-hmm. You don't typically see people making takeout orders just in an axe throwing place. So that's definitely something that we pride ourselves on, is our menu and how great the food is.
So you can come out here, you can eat with friends, you can drink with friends, you can throw the axes. And the axe throwing, it's really expanding. You guys have a World Axe Throwing League approved axe house here, so you're going to be hosting tournaments in the future. And you're getting set, you showed us this earlier, the digital axe targets. Very cool, because there's a lot of different games that you can actually incorporate into axe throwing.
Yes, exactly. We'll be the first to be actually World Axe Throwing League certified, so Waddle certified, as well as offering the digital projection axe targets. And so there are a couple of different games that you can play. There's a tic-tac-toe game. There is a zombie slayer game. And, of course, you have your traditional target as well.
So a lot of fun things to do up here at the Axe House. Monica Schaefer is with us, the marketing director up here, and there are a lot of folks who listen in Sevierville. I'm sure are aware of this place or are aware of it now. I'm going to stop by in the future. For our fans back in Knoxville, I know you live in Knoxville, near Knoxville as well. It's only, I think I got up here in like maybe 35 minutes from West Knoxville, so it's a quick drive. And I know a lot of families are looking, just especially on the weekend, let's get out and make a day of it, more than just an hour trip to a local restaurant. Good opportunity to come up to Sevierville and make a day of it. Stop by the Axe House, have some food, throw some axes. This is a good attraction no matter where you are in East Tennessee.
Yes, it is. Especially this area in particular is, within a day's drive from many places.
Yeah. And we have a lot of folks in Chattanooga area in the mid-state, Nashville, who are looking for things to do in East Tennessee as well.
Yes. So we would love the folks from Knoxville to come on down and check us out. Like you said, it's perfect for an afternoon, a weekend activity, whatever your heart desires.
Well, Monica, thanks again for having us out. Anything else that we need to let the audience know and be aware of about the Axe House here in Sevierville? Another one up in Pigeon Forge as well.
Yes, we do have one in Pigeon Forge as well. That one is in the Red Roof Mall over by Little Dolly's. So it's right there on the Parkway. Here in Sevierville, we are right on Winfield Parkway, across from the Guerrilla Fireworks. And who knows, maybe we have some more locations coming soon.
Ah, okay. Well, we will keep our eyes peeled for new Axe houses popping up in the future. Monica Schaefer, thanks so much for having us. We're going to hang out another 2 hours or so if y'all don't kick us out. I think the guys have been well behaved, more or less.
I think they're having a good time.
Okay, good deal. Monica, thanks again. And we always appreciate our sponsors sharing with us about what they're doing here on our Fan Run Radio.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's Monica Schaefer, the marketing coordinator up here, the Axe House in Sevierville. We're going to be here for another 2 hours. If you want to stop by and see us, Bear, it's been pretty outstanding. I think the Blitz versus Talk Sports Axe throwing marathon is still going. It's domination from the Blitz.
That's maybe the least surprising thing you've said all day.
Complete domination by the Blitz, apparently, is what's happening. Wow.
I mean, the Blitz is affiliated with the Drive. I mean, those guys.
Oh,
I went to the Russell Smith School of Broadcasting.
I'll tell you what's interesting. Young Charlie Collier. I mean, you talk about.
He's a strapping young lad, isn't he?
He does not lack for confidence either.
Huh.
I mean, he thought.
I found him to be quite timid around me.
Not so here at the Axe House.
Okay. I mean, you get an axe in your hand, and I feel like that would be a pretty good rush of good old-fashioned all-American testosterone, Russ.
Stay with us. Hour number 2 of the drive. We have some spring football news to share with you. Coming up in hour number 2, we'll take your phone calls as well. I want to get your thoughts on Christopher Gabriel's appearance on the show as well, Bear. He came in with the blowtorch once again. A lot to unpack from hour number 1. Hour number 2 of the drive coming up here on Fan Run Radio.
The Drive.